Good evening. You are live. I'm Harrison. Probably a bit more tired than usual because of staying up on Monday night. I've probably not recovered yet.
You're looking good, bud. You're looking good.
Physically and mentally. And the quick-witted person to my right, as always, Robbie. How's it going?
The words Robbie and quick has never been in that same sentence. But no, we are good, bud. We're fighting a house full of COVID, but we're getting there.
Good. Yeah, it's still around. People forget that. So just stay wise, get tested, get jabbed. All that jazz.
It's quite funny. The only one in the house is tested positive is my daughter, and she's the only one that hasn't got any symptoms. So we're just waiting for the rest of us now.
It is crazy. For some reason, my setup isn't loading here, but I'll carry on talking. The game, did you watch it in the end?
Yes, I couldn't stay up for it because of work commitments, thankfully. It was nice watching the game, knowing that we lost, because that expectation, I think if I'd have sat watching it with that expectation of the kind of the first three quarters there, I'd have lost my shit, to put it politely. So you knew when it was coming. Obviously, there was all the stuff on social media. You knew what was going to happen, and so it helped, I think, manage the expectation, because it's the hope that kills you at the end of the day.
Life as an Arsenal fan, Colts fan.
Get warm already.
We'll start with the bad. Let's get it out of the way because it was horrible. Obviously, to collapse like that is not nice when you're on the losing side of it. Let's start with special teams.
Yeah.
Rigoberto Sanchez, does his job, always does his job. Hot Rod, he probably, he shouldn't have played, but we didn't have a backup. He's gone out and tried. He's a professional athlete. He'll realise what it was just one of them things, and sometimes you just got to give credit to a great play by Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell.
It was Calais, the ex-Jaguar.
Yeah.
Which kind of hit. But you know what? I would have no slander on the special teams. No. I will have nobody being negative about them, because as a unit, they show up every week. It's just one of the things, kicker gets injured. Obviously, you don't carry a backup. Nice to see Hines with the hold from the snap. Another string to his bow. Ultimately, they didn't lose us the game.
No.
It was a couple of nice plays, obviously a couple of missed kicks, but there was plenty of opportunity. But I think how you can sum up the Colts season is with that special teams. If you look at the whole season, we just haven't been able to kind of patch a full 60 minutes together. And, it happens in sport. We got a new guy in Badgley. Was it Badgley? Who apparently he was. Yeah, he was with us many, many years ago, wasn't he?
I believe so.
As a camp kicker.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as long as he's fit and as long as he can kick from 40 odd yards, then it should be okay. But I think the coaching staff could have done better to protect the kickers, especially the three rundowns at the end. But we are where we are.
I don't really want to rate them negatively, because when you're a kicker and the thing that's injured is your hip flexor, you're pretty fucking knackered. Pardon my language.
Well, I have arthritis on my hips, and I know how hard it is to kick a ball once your hips are sore. I think we should just give them a 5. Just because we love them so much.
We do.
It just shows how important it is. We took Vinny for granted for all those years, and then obviously back end when he kept missing a few kicks here and there. Obviously, we've had 2 great punters in a row now.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. We'll start. I want to leave all the coaching stuff to last because I want to go into them individually. So we'll start with the defense.
Yeah.
Starting with the D line. I know people are giving DeForest Buckner slander for saying, he's not turning up, blah, 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 but he's trying to carry this line on his own at the minute.
He's getting double teamed a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go full 60 minutes getting double teamed constantly and still produce. You know, the only thing with this D line is the lack of pass rush. You know, the Russian defense, you know, it turned up on Sunday.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just that lack of. I know we're playing Lamar Miller, but there's still that lack of pressure. You know, Quitty Pay's not there, but is Quitty Pay really? He's not at that elite level yet, so we can't rely on him. There's just a lack of eliteness there. You know, I think the Ravens end up with 86 rushing yards.
Yeah,
and look who they've got. Like, look, it's just in this. You know, so they impacted the game on the run, but I think it was just a pass. It just lacked.
I don't want to make excuses because I'm a big believer in next man up league, you know, and I'm a big believer if you get your shot, you've got to take it. But it just didn't go our way. Things just didn't fall our way in that game, and that stuff happens.
No, I get it, and yeah, it was just, you know, we've said it for the last 5 weeks. You know, if they're not impacting the QB, then the linebackers get abused, the secondary gets abused, and that's really where you have to win the game to protect your defense.
Yeah. So
I heard Eberflus was kind of saying that they didn't rotate enough. Well, there's not enough people to rotate, but
you
know, it's a professional sport, and he's there to
overcome these problems
now, and you know, he can't come out and start saying excuses like that. You know, you got to take it on the chin. You know, Ben Vanagoo again, it didn't turn up. You know, I think he only played 12 snaps, but he's only getting 12 snaps because of his kind of play. Kimoko, okay, another okay game. But yeah, it's just not enough impact.
Yeah. So 5.
But yeah, that's cool. Al-Qadim Muhammad, you know, I think he had a strong game.
Yeah.
You know, I think got a couple of QB hits in. Definitely got that tackle for loss. And a couple of solo tackles as well, which were quite nice. You know, big Grover had a really quiet game. But yeah, we want to be seeing more out of them, really.
Okay. Linebackers, I mean, apart from the fourth quarter, fantastic.
Do you know what? They're looking fit.
Yeah.
Darius is looking a lot more sharper. And I think we said that from week 1 and 2. I think we both said how he just doesn't look quite fit enough. He doesn't look match sharp. And, you know, I think he's finding that now. I did check before we came on, and he played 100% of the snaps. He played all 73 defensive snaps.
That's
you
a
know,
long time on the field.
You know, and he had 13 tackles by himself. You know, and it's the first game, I think, all season where he's had double-digit tackles. So he's starting to impact the game again. I think we've got something fundamentally wrong with our coaching, which we'll come on to, and how they're prepared for the start of the season, because it's been a slow start. No one's looked ready for it. No one's looked up for it. And I think we're starting to see that kind of gelling and that progression from the team now. But you shouldn't have to wait 5-6 weeks into the season to see it.
No. So linebackers, I mean, I'm happy to give them a 7. Obviously, the fourth quarter, but I'm not going to try and be negative. There's no point.
No, do you know, I'm really, really, like, I think because we've had the extra kind of couple of days to think about it, and kind of sit with it and stew with it, I'm actually quite positive. Like, if we'd come and done this on Tuesday, I think it'd be quite negative. But the way it's been, love it.
Okay, so we do the cornerbacks, safeties, defensive backs, whatever you want to call them, the secondary together.
We just noticed, obviously, I said about Darius playing all 73 snaps, 100% of the snaps. Bobby O did as well.
Wow.
And so did Kenny Moore.
I mean,
you know, so yeah, obviously we know the cornerbacks, obviously the issue that we had a few injuries, but the fact that both linebackers who are prominent there all the way through the season, they played 100% of the snaps
together, which means, you know, it just means they're gelling more and more. They're getting that bond. It's getting stronger, the understanding.
And we'll remember that when we're talking about Eberflus later with his lack of timeouts. But there we go. We'll get onto that.
Yeah. So secondary.
Would you do cornerback and safeties together?
Yeah.
I'm
I
cool
mean,
with that.
for me, until all our starters and backups got injured, again, fantastic. Isaiah Rodgers absolutely pummeled that Ravens. I can't remember who it was. Back to make it a second down.
Yeah, no. Well, I'll say a couple of names for you. I've actually got to read them out. Bo Pete Keys and Anthony Chesley.
Yeah.
Never heard of them, and I don't think we'll ever see them again.
Yeah. There was practice squad players.
But it's a league of next man up, and you scheme around your weakness.
Yeah.
And you don't leave people on an island by themselves. For the majority of that game, were absolutely superb.
Yeah.
But as again, when we go ahead, we papered over the cracks and win at Miami. How we kind of let that slip. Jacoby got 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Jacoby shouldn't be doing that. No. And we played an elite quarterback, and we've paid for it. But I don't think you can really, you can't really hammer one person from the defense that played. So I'd be happy to give them a 7.
Yeah, I will say as well. Apart from a couple of missed tackles, I will say someone who is having a quietly good underrated season is Senado. Is it
Sandejo? Yeah, Andrew.
Yeah,
he had a few snaps last week.
Yeah.
Then he got a big chunk at the weekend as well.
Yeah.
Just trying to check. Where are you? He played almost 70% of the snaps.
Yeah, and I think he did relatively well against one of the league's best quarterbacks.
He played more snaps than Kyrie Willis.
Wow, that is saying. Well, Kyrie got injured, didn't
he?
Yeah,
that's fair. Julian Blackman played 96% of the snaps, and obviously we know what kind of happened. Isaiah Rodgers 82%. And he beginning of the season, he would have been predominantly on special teams. But he's definitely affecting the game more, and I think those guys are getting more snaps through creativity. But Sandejo, he was at Cleveland, if I remember correctly,
and an apparently quiet band, from what I heard.
Yeah. So he's doing okay. I'd say, we can't be too down on these guys when it's, what they face in that fourth quarter. I just want to be positive about them.
I look at it as there's no point beating up a team that's just lost in that fashion. If you are a spectator, a player of sport in any way, shape, or form, you have lost in that fashion, whether it's esports, online, FIFA, or playing at the highest level in the NFL. There's no point kicking us while we're down.
It's
quite easy to as well.
Yeah, well, again, we'll come on to Flus, and I don't want to keep mentioning him, especially in this part when I'm trying to be positive. But Marquise Brown got over 100 yards, and so did Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
which that's 200, and I think between them they got almost 300 yards. So if you take that's 3 touchdowns. But I think that was more to do with scheme, which we'll come on to.
Yeah. Okay, I'll move on to the offense. Start with, to be honest, the offense for me is the unit of the game. I thought it was fantastic. Carson Wentz, I saw a great tweet. I can't remember the quote exactly, but it was something like, the most boring thing going about Carson Wentz this season is that he's not terrible. And not terrible is a bit of an understatement. I actually think he's a pretty good quarterback. He went toe-to-toe with MVP Lamar Jackson, and he didn't lose us the game.
Yeah, no. Again, I think what we've said all season is that he hasn't looked fit. He hasn't looked gelled with his unit. The playbook was really vanilla. Things weren't open up because I don't think he knew the playbook. I don't think the players were ready for the season, as I keep saying. But they're looking like they're gelled. They're looking like they trust each other now, and they know what they're all supposed to be doing. Again, it shouldn't have taken 5-6 weeks to kind of come into it. But other than that one sack, obviously had 2 sacks, but 1 sack was on Carson. Obviously that fumble was a bit pants.
Yeah.
But taking away the scheme and just looking at Carson, I'm happy with it. And I was asking myself this question earlier: would we be happy with him being our QB franchise moving forward? And I was like, it's obviously too early to say. If he stays fit between now and the end of the season, I'd say yes, he is. But if he gets another injury where he's out for half a game, 2 games, 3 games, because you need him to be there.
Yeah,
and he's been with us for since March, so that's 7 months, and he's had 2 or 3 injuries.
Yeah,
not his fault. It's not their fault they get injured, but it happens in football. But the good ones stay fit. Peyton was elite because he stayed fit until obviously his neck, but then he still managed to play and get another ring. Tom Brady constantly plays because he's looks after himself. Aaron Rodgers plays so long because he looks after himself. Ben Roethlisberger is just a big fat beast, but he still ends up, the last couple of years he's had a lot of injuries, but that's because his build maybe and the way he used to play. The QBs that aren't lasting very long, these younger ones that take the impact when they don't need to. And if you look at the way Carson looks after the ball now compared to week 1 and 2, he's not holding the ball for 4 or 5 seconds. It's 1.5, 2.5 seconds and release. So for me, it's all trending in the right way with him, but he's got to stay fit.
He has to stay fit. He doesn't need to take these hits anymore, and I think he's still learning that. Like you said, what I'm happy about, Robbie, is progression. Every week, he's looked better and better and better.
Oh,
and better.
No doubt.
And that's all you can ask for.
No. Still got to mention red zone again. We were 1 for 4.
Yeah,
25% isn't good enough. Obviously, we had his fumble in the first quarter there, but I'd say that only converting 1 for 4 is more on the coaching and scheme rather than on Carson.
Yeah. Okay. So what are we rating Carson? 8.
I'd go 7 just because he's not quite there yet.
Okay.
But it's up to you.
I mean, go 7. Might as well. Like you say, they're a bit clumsy with the ball, but getting better.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm
saying this as if I could ever throw a 20-yard pass in the NFL.
This is what us fans are allowed to do, remember? Like, we can sit here and criticise that they're not fast enough, they're not sharp enough. I physically cannot run. So, it's a little bit, but I can do it in here. Well, up here, I can do anything.
Why didn't you pick that gap, Naeem? Oh.
Exactly that.
Okay, let's get on to. I mean, the offense was brilliant all around, but wide receivers.
Can we just take a second?
Yeah, go on.
Michael Pittman Jr. Like every week we're talking about him. Why the fuck is the national media not talking about him? He is
because he doesn't play for the Giants.
Like he went up and mossed someone. Like every week, he's just like last year. I loved him because his blocking was fantastic. He wasn't getting as many targets, but he was blocking and his work rate was just unreal. And he's getting those chances now. It was 6 catches off 7 targets or something like that.
Yeah,
which is
unreal. And I don't think he had a drop. That 7th one was an overthrown pass or something.
Carson did have a couple of passes that I guess he wished he wanted back, but you got to remember, even with Andrew Luck, who is an elite passer, Peyton Manning, who was an elite passer, they still had things that went left, right, short, up. He's not having the problems of people like Baker Mayfield, people like who's the young lad from the Jets, the rookie,
Zach Wilson.
I watched part of his game. He's got massive accuracy issues. Having a Sunday off to actually watch other teams was quite nice. So just back to Michael Pittman. Love him, and I think he should be wearing that number 1, not Paris Campbell.
Paris Campbell, you bring him up, but he did come up with some big catches in the game. I feel it's important to granddad Paris Campbell back into this squad. Last season we rushed him back in, made him wide receiver number 1, you could argue, and he was injured. You know,
he wasn't ready, wasn't experienced enough.
No,
maybe not mature enough. But like Zach Pascal, Ashton Doolan again, second game in a row, turning up and getting a few catches.
Yeah.
And we got Ty back this week, or looks like he's going to be back
in the Hilton Stadium.
Exactly, he absolutely owns them. So like it's looking so good, and like when you put like Mo Ali Cox in the group as well.
Yeah,
you know, he had I think 3 or 4 catches. Granson had a couple more catches. I still don't think Jack's quite fit.
No.
I think he only had 1 catch.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Taylor, you know, he got a 76-yard touchdown because of his catching.
Yeah.
You know, that little swing, it was absolutely love. When those swing passes kind of, when they work out and the blockers are out early, Kelly's out quick, you know, it's just a dream. You know, Mo Ali Cox is down and blocking, Jack Doyle's there blocking. It's absolutely beautiful to see. They're all contributing, and I think 8.
Yeah.
And the difference from the start of the season, they weren't all getting attention from Carson because again, I don't think he knew them. I don't think he understood their game because they hadn't had that time to gel. And you know, it's only going to get better and better.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of more Carson. One of my favourite throws in that game from Carson Wentz. It was just a simple out route, but he threw it quick and hard, and it looks like the easiest throw on the field. But with a cornerback closing down the man on the route, to get that into a place where only your player can catch it over the back outside shoulder is probably one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's beautiful to see.
Yeah. Anyway, tight ends. I mean, like we said, Jack's not fully fit, but does all the donkey work anyway.
See the slander he got on social media for cutting down, was it Young?
No.
Yeah, apparently like he was getting, I didn't see it. I didn't notice it. Jack Doyle was perfect in my eyes, so Ravens go fuck himself.
No. Honestly, it was a fantastic flop.
I don't remember seeing it. I just saw the backlash on social media.
I will give it him because it was, if anyone else had done it, it would have been savvy. You know, if Gronkowski would have done it, it would have been savvy. Or if Tom Brady would have done it, it would have been, oh, you can't do that against etc. But because it's just a nobody tight end from a small market team, it was disgusting. But he's got him to bite, you know, and I mean, I could go on about it forever because it's one of those things. You know, it's like English media when it comes to football. If Jack Grealish dives for England, he draws in tackles. If he dives for City, he's a cheat. It's one of them things.
Yeah. No. I love it. For me, you know, Mo had some nice catches. Granson had some nice catches. The blocking again was outstanding from them. Nice to have seen Mo get a bit more attention down in the red zone, but it is what it is. You know, I'd go for a good 7.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, offensive line. Pryor starting over Bobby Davenport, thank goodness.
Yep. Chris Reed playing left guard.
Yeah, fantastic game.
Not being funny, can he play left tackle?
Yeah, that's the first game we didn't miss Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
And that I never thought I'd say that. Chris Reed should absolutely take his hat off with his head held high there because that was fantastic.
Yeah, you know, Fisher got caught on one of them sacks where Carson fumbled it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he still admittedly says he's still not match fit. You know, he's 6 weeks in. Obviously, he missed the first few, but you know, I think it's only 7 QB hits, and I think 2 of them weren't even real hits. So massive improvement again. You know, the yardage the running backs are getting is great. Carson's a QB can make the offensive line look good. A QB can make the offensive line look bad, and I think Carson made him look bad the first couple of weeks, whereas now he understands or they're working together better now. So for me, you know, I'd go for a 7 just because they're not quite at that 8, 9, 10 yet. Unless you know, if you want to put an 8, we can obviously.
I would say I'd give him an 8 just for the fact, like you say, Chris Reed. It felt like Quentin Nelson was back in the line. Obviously not as dominant, but if you'd watched that game with no numbers or names or commentators, you would think
Yeah.
Quentin Nelson was there. And prior, I mean, did he fancy turning up the 4 weeks prior? Pun intended. But you know,
I think if it's like if you look at it, like Justin Houston had nothing. You know, he obviously got that yellow. He got the flag towards quite late there, but
which
that
was
is
the
what it is.
definite flag because it was. I mean, if he doesn't grab the nameplate, Carson Wentz doesn't get sacked, so it's a definite flag.
Yeah, you know, Claire Campbell, you know, other than at special teams, you know, was quiet. So you know, they kept their like Trey Young. I think he might have had one QB hit, and so they've kept their big guns quiet, which is what they're there to do.
Yeah.
So I'd agree with that.
Running backs.
I'm so confused.
Is this going to be to do with Nyheim Hines?
Just Hines and Mack. Like, what's Hines done that has limited him? You know,
the only justification I can come up with is obviously last year Isaiah Rodgers was our return man.
Yeah.
Now Isaiah Rodgers has had to step up. They think Hines is the best option to return because he is an electric back.
Yeah,
Hines, you know he is, but
he offers so much.
Yeah,
you know, he had one target from a throw, which was off target. You know, so he didn't have a catch.
Yeah,
I wrote down here. He had 4 carries. 4 carries through 60 minutes. His longest was 11. You know, he averaged 4.5. No, but he had 4 carries. Like, I just don't when you got such a weapon, I just don't get it. You know, he played 26 snaps and only got 4 carries. Where Mac, I wrote down, Mac's had only played 10 snaps, but he got 5 carries for 9.4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So Mac's still producing.
Yeah. I mean,
and then but JT only had JT obviously carried it with the bulk of it for 15 carries, which he come out of 3.5, and obviously got that beautiful touchdown. But obviously that was from the swing pass. So I don't get it. I don't get, you know, Mac was on the trade block 2 weeks ago. Obviously he asked for it because obviously he wasn't getting the game time. But I just don't get it.
Mate, nor do I. I'm being honest. I don't get it. Obviously, we don't get paid the millions that Frank Reich does. He must have a plan because
Hines got that big contract.
Nyheim Hines to a big contract, and Mac's going to trade. And when you're giving your trade asset more snaps than your big contract asset, the maths just doesn't work.
No, it's just something's not right, but I don't know what. And you know, and obviously Jordan Wilkins, he's been off the last 2 or 3 weeks with some illness. I can't remember what it's called on the injury update. It's like some unknown illness or something. Yeah. So there's not been much about that. But hopefully he's good because you know he's still a baller.
If Jordan Wilkins was active, maybe he's the punt returner, and maybe Hines gets more snaps. I don't know. But, I mean, other than that, again, the Colts run the ball well, and when we do run the ball, the running backs did the job this week.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. What was it? Rushing attempts, 123 yards in total rushing. You know, so it's a good return day. But there's definitely more left out there.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, why not? Just because I'm confused.
Yeah. Now we get to answer that confusion for all those watching who have probably waited ages for this part. The coaching staff. Okay. Should we start with the good, the bad, or the ugly?
Well, let's start offense because then we can build the emotion and the anticipation.
Yeah.
Right. For me first, right. Offensively, we're 5 from 10 conversions on third down. So we only converted 50% on third down.
Yeah.
Probably not good enough. Red zone again, only 25. 1 for 4, 25%. That's not good enough. That for me is where you win and lose the games. It was great to see Reich challenge in the first quarter there. I think that's the first challenge I think I've seen him win.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Right. So he got that right. But then for someone that preaches how aggressive he is, there just wasn't enough aggression just to kill off that game.
And that sounds crazy when we're scoring over 20 points against the Ravens. It seems crazy that and I saw this and I thought it was a very good point, is Carson Wentz is Frank Reich's quarterback. Let's not forget, it's not Chris Ballard's quarterback. It's not Jim Irsay's quarterback. It's Frank Reich quarterback. And Frank Reich, I'm guessing, is planning to be here for another 3-4 years at least.
We've got the 5-year extension, didn't he? Beginning of the season.
To not trust him to ice the game is just a bit criminal, really, and a bit. I don't know if it's a bit naive. Did it show a bit of? I don't know if I can actually trust Carson to make this. I don't know.
And those 3 runs at the end of the game where he set off for the field goal. Usually, that's fine because you've usually got a kicker that you can trust.
Yeah.
But we had the injuries, and we've just gone through how good the receivers were. The 3 runs, everyone was in the box. There was nothing was spread out, and that's easier to defend because it's not going to go wide. It's going to come straight down the middle, so it's easy to stuff the A gap, the B gap, the C gap, and D gap. We know that, and it was just. I felt bad for players because the players did so much. It just wasn't there.
I mean, the positives, because I'm not trying to be too negative.
Yeah,
the playbook opened up massively, which was fantastic, and the Ravens couldn't live with it. The only negative and I think Frank Reich is a bit guilty of this, and this Colts team in general is a bit guilty of this, is when you go 3 scores up, a bit like in soccer, you're 3-0 up, all of a sudden the home team gets 1 back. And all of a sudden the home team gets 2 back. And
crowd get back into it. And
we shrunk back into our shell of run the ball on 2nd and long, screen on 3rd and long, defense, cover 3, cover 6, Tampa 2, whatever you want to say. And we just shrank instead of still going for the throat. And Frank Reich admitted that.
Again, trying to be positive about it, if you compare this to week 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it's because of our expectations are growing, not because we're winning games, but because we're seeing so much good that, we put it, I think, we've said in games, the first quarter's been rubbish, second quarter's been okay, third quarter's usually been really good for us, and then the fourth quarter's been really rubbish for us, like throughout the season. That's kind of how it's worked. Whereas they've managed to put 3 quarters together pretty well.
Yeah.
To then
it happens.
Yeah, no, it's cool. But I don't agree that, obviously some people saying that Frank Reich should get sacked. Don't agree with that whatsoever. I'm a Pagano guy. I think I always will be. We're not all perfect. I'm a Pagano guy. But Pagano with this offense, I think would be better than what he had. He only had Andrew Luck, and the difference. Hold on, before you jump down. Like, we lost to Lamar Miller. Like, Lamar Miller will get you 6 wins minimum a year by himself. Andrew Luck will get you those wins by himself because he's the QB. Because Andrew Luck had nothing around him really. Let's face it. Whereas, there's weapons there now. We've got a good running back group. We've got a great receiving group. Yeah. Whereas Pagano never had that.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he would. But for me, Reich isn't doing that much of a bad job in terms of managing the team, as in game, but my issue with Frank Reich is how the team is just never ready for the season.
Yeah, I mean, I won't. My gripe isn't with Frank Reich. We're
still building to that.
My offense, not the offense has been frustrating this season. You know, the defense, I'll get onto them, but I don't know. It's just, I feel like there's still more in the tank. You know, it's
they're
only
gelling. They're still having to gel, aren't they? Because
and
of
even in the Ravens game, it felt like we was only hitting fourth gear. It still feel like there's another 2 gears there where, you know,
I think that's perfectly fair. I think that's a perfectly good point to make. You know, we're gelled, we're getting there, but we're not quite getting into that top gear to really let us fly. But we've got 500 yards of offense this week.
Exactly. You know, so I mean, for me, the negative with Frank Reich, to sum it up, a bit too conservative for a guy who always preaches aggression. The positive, a wide open playbook made it, you know, the Ravens physically couldn't stop us walking down the field at will. And that's as simple as it is.
And if we look at this week coming up against the Texans defense, you know, we should be hitting 30 points minimum.
Yeah. So
with what we've got available.
Trying to be positive, a 6 for Reich.
Yeah, he is the head coach.
Yeah. Our best mate, Robbie. My best mate especially.
Right. Could I start and then let you just absolutely go to town?
I'll let you start.
Yeah. Just let me tee you up a little bit. For weeks, you know, let's take on last year. You know, constantly it was a case of we're leading. Why are we letting them run in front of us? Why are we letting them get the gaps? Why are we playing so soft? Mm-hmm. For 3 quarters of Tuesday morning's game, we conceded 9 points. You can't ask for more than that.
No.
You know, Darius was on, Bobby O was on, Kenny Moore was fantastic, Blackman was playing good. You know, defensive line, you know, they put a good structure in place to really stop Lamar from getting out of the pocket as much.
Yeah.
Again, like we happened to the Dolphins, we were up, and it was a case of let's step back, let's stop that pressure, and let's chew up some of that clock. Mm-hmm. Well, no, what's worked for 3 quarters, and it's actually, you know, and it was good. It was really good, but they just stepped off the pedal. Yes, you can say the injuries. You know, we mention 2 people that I've never even heard of, and I can't remember what their names were. But you scheme around that. You know, Eberflus got questions about his scheme, and it's like we played quarters, we played halves, we played this, we played showing that. I wanted to kind of stop, like let's just sub in some defensive ends, but he's there controlling that. You know, where's the timeout? Where's giving them a stop? You know, it's not rocket science. You know, you tell one of your players that, you know, he can come out for play, but go down holding your ankle and just take 5 minutes. Just when we can stop that momentum. You know, there's different things you can do that are shithousery, where you can kind of stop it. Like people do it to us all the time. You know, when we're on a scheme, like when we're on a roll, you know, we've seen it where people have gone down and said they're injured, and it's totally just killed momentum. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's things that can be a bit smarter, and they can just scheme a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go, mate. There we go. There. Now let's hear.
I was looking forward to. Well, I say today's show. It would have been Wednesday's show. But I was looking forward to the show, thinking I'm gonna have a show where I'm gonna give Matt Eberflus a fucking 10. I thought, like you said, them first 3 quarters, I've not seen a team contain Lamar Jackson better than that. I don't care what anyone says. He schemed up. You know, he made sure his defensive ends knew to go out and then make sure you retrace your steps so he can't come back out. Stuff like that. He disguised blitzes. And I thought, where's this been? Where has this been from Matt Eberflus?
On 3rd downs, they converted 3 of 8 on their 3rd.
And I just, and then the 4th quarter hit, and I just saw it. To be honest, it was the end of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
And I just saw the same mistakes creeping back in, leaving the underneath open. I think the only person Lamar Jackson threw it to was Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown. I didn't see anyone else catch the ball.
There's always shit tight ends that end up beating us. Like there's always like a random Texan tight end or a Jaguars tight end that ends up getting like 100 yards against us.
And this is my point. I was watching it. Obviously, when you're there, it's a different story. But I'm watching it going, Lamar Jackson is throwing the check down to Mark Andrews about 15 fucking times now. All he's done is run simple out routes and simple in routes.
But it's not 2 or 3 yards. It's 10, 15 yards.
Yeah. And I'm just like, when they're on the 40-yard line, take a timeout. Say to Darius Leonard, whatever you fucking do, stay on Mark Andrews. That's all you have to do. And they don't win. They don't win. They don't get back in the game. And it's something I would expect, if Matt Eberflus was fresh into the Colts this season and he'd stepped up from another position. He was a rookie defensive coordinator. I could sort of accept these stupid mistakes of...
We've had it for too long.
Yeah. Pittsburgh last year.
Yeah. Green Bay, we can probably, if we looked at it, it'd be over and over again. But for me, I think I said it a couple of weeks ago, there's a thing about playing defense, like playing fast and hard.
Yeah.
Which is all good, but when you come against good quarterbacks, you've got to have a strategy in place that's going to do it for 60 minutes, not just for a few snaps. It's got to be a game plan for 60 minutes. And I don't think he has that knowledge. I don't want to be rude about him because, he's obviously done enough to get himself a defensive coordinator job. To be fair, Adam Gase has had 2 head coaching jobs. Should have probably had them. So for me, I would say, we need to get someone else in, just because it's not happening. And
you just reminded me of something that really infuriated me with Matt Eberflus. And probably, if we had won, would have probably been my only criticism on that game. And that's blitzing Lamar Jackson on a 3rd and 7. When the game's been going well and sitting in zone, believe it or not, sitting in his zone coverage scheme worked to a T. He thought, I blitzed one of the best quarterbacks in the league on a 3rd and 7.
In his defense, because you know what old Jimmy Irsay is like, is he being dictated to how he has to play?
I don't know, because
I'm just trying to put a bit of defense up for the bloke, because
I'll give him this, right? Like you said,
I just said I think he should be sacked. I'm just trying to be a bit nice. Mikey, you've missed it, bud. We're on one. I think we're about to start crying. I think the tears are about to come out.
This is my defense for Matt Eberflus is we have played some absolutely fantastic shutout games. In my time watching the Colts, seriously, I've seen some awful defenses, and Matt Eberflus isn't an awful coordinator. He's just his 5th year? Not with the Colts, but 5th year as defensive coordinator.
Yeah. He's been with 3 now, isn't he?
There's so many rookie errors, and I don't know how you coach that out of someone when they're the coach, if that makes any sense.
No, that's Frank Reich's job, isn't it? He's there to coordinate it, and he's there to put a game plan together. This is how we're going to play. Now you go out and execute it with the players. Yeah. It wasn't Frank Reich's choice to have Eberflus.
No.
But they seem to get on well.
And
Mikey, we lost it because we were shit in the 4th quarter. I think that's what we come down to. Absolute defense were lights out until that last, what was it, 4 minutes into 3 minutes left of the 3rd quarter or something like that. But yeah. But
I don't know if.
But I've come away so positive. I've come away after the couple of days. I'm so positive, especially this Sunday. If we don't beat the Texans,
heads have got to roll. I'm sorry, but heads have to roll if we don't beat the Texans.
We can't be wasting the 1st pick of the draft next year.
No,
you can't sit Wentz, and obviously they've all got their pride. But
Brett Hundley Super Bowl season.
huh?
Brett Hundley Super Bowl season.
Jesus. I think your boy Eason's done. I don't think he'll be.
I'm teaming with that. I mean, I could do a 40-minute show just on how badly they've treated him, and whether he likes him or not, to do that to somebody who didn't have a bad preseason. He threw that. What was it in the first game? He threw that interception.
Oh yeah, but he only came on for.
That was like his one snap of the game, But to absolutely just put him in the doghouse after that is.
But if Carson wants to be our guy, he's got to stay fit.
Yeah, I mean, let's say instead of Brett Hundley, we managed to pick up Teddy Bridgewater. I would understand him being the backup, but no offense to Brett, I don't even know what he's done in his NFL career.
See what Mikey just wrote, which just reminded me. November 11th, we've got the new Hard Knocks coming out. This is all being documented. This season has been documented. Every day of every training has been documented.
Yeah.
How good is it going to be when we now go undefeated?
13-4.
13-4. You've heard it here first, folks. But once again, glass massively half full.
Yeah.
Would it surprise you if we go and win the next 10 games?
No.
Because the progression that we've had from week one, like the progression that we've had and the progression that Carson's had with the offensive line, as we said, with the running backs, with the receivers, I would not be surprised if we go on the run.
No, not at all. I mean,
and Jimmy Irsay can stick your 2 Lombardis up your backside in the next decade because it ain't happening, mate.
That's right. It ain't happening. We're getting free.
But one team wins a year, so there's 10 up for grabs in the next 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
The likelihood of getting 2 in the next 10 years.
All I'm saying, weirder things have happened. And when Jacob Eason's standing there as a 2-time Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Robert Kraft sold his soul to the devil. Right. Right. Belichick sold his backside to the devil.
Belichick sold his cousin and his son.
Exactly. And Irsay's already sold his soul after his whole kind of drink and rehab. So, he can't go back and say, can I now win that as well?
Yeah, about to become the mayor of Houston again. Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy if we win and there's no more injuries on Sunday. That's all I'm asking for.
Do obviously, T.Y. is going to come in for Ashton Dulin, you'd assume, if he's fit.
Yeah.
Because obviously Zach Passel's going to be there, Pittman's going to be there, and Paris Campbell. Like, no one in that receiving core deserves to be taking any snaps away, any receiving yards away from Michael Pittman, because he is, for me, he is, even with T.Y. back, he is QB1.
Yeah.
Paris Campbell still got a lot to prove to me, as you know, but he's done nothing wrong to warrant getting any snaps or targets taken away from him. And Zach Passel, again, I don't think he deserves to get any targets away from him either, because I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah. Positivity. I could sit here and
it's all positive. Like all this, because Pittman's been good, Paris Campbell's been okay, which I'm never going to say. I don't think I'm ever going to say he's good. Zach Pascal has been good. Mo Ali Cox, very good. Doyle, just give him the ball. And then you got Jonathan Taylor, who was great in the game for receiving. So there's so much there and we can build this win. We can build it up now, and just get me in the locker room.
Yeah.
I'll give him all the slap. But so for the player rate, absolutely. Let me do a little bit of math quick. Well, we haven't given Eberflus a score yet.
I mean,
bear in mind the 3 quarters. Like, let's be fair to him.
Yeah,
the first 3 quarters.
If it wasn't for the 4th quarter, and now that like you said, I've stewed on it, I'm probably giving him an 8 or a 9. If it wasn't for the 4th quarter.
Can I have that in writing? Right. Can someone take a screenshot of that? Harrison saying Flus gets an 8. Hold on, I'm just doing a bit of maths.
But it just capitulated, and that for me is on the coach, and it takes him down to a 5. It really does.
The Fluce a 5.
The Fluce 5.
Hold on, just doing a little bit of maths. So we've given the offense, excluding the coaches, 7.4, and then the defense is a 6.3.
Yeah, obviously more units with the offense because we rate the secondary together. So I mean, it's probably 7s all around, like Lane Goodman, really, isn't it? That's a niche British reference.
How many people do you reckon are going to get that reference? We love a bit of Strictly in our house. But we wanted to get on something else as well. You obviously wanted to mention Julian Blackman.
Yeah, I mean, just before we jump onto that, because that's a bit more serious, but T.Y. Hillen's back. He demands double coverage. No matter where he goes, he demands double coverage. Carson Wentz made a fantastic throw into triple coverage to, I believe it might even have been Doolin. There was 3 signs there and he found the gap, and that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
So on to something more serious now. And I hope everyone who's watching this and watches this later on understands. If you send death threats to our players or coaching staffs or anyone, I'll get to your comment in a second, Mikey. After a game or after a loss, then, pardon my language, go fuck yourself, you little virgin, cunt. Because it's just disgusting, mate. Over a game.
Yeah, I think, like, obviously within our chat group, we get highs and we get lows. We say like Eberflus or what was that? That stinks. And we say what's he doing in his job? But I don't think any one of us would ever say we want him dead or we want him to have physical harm or emotional harm
got personal
or any mental unwellness. And for anyone, and I think this is the worst thing about social media is that there's so many faceless people that if you claim to be a human being, and someone that's gone out and played a game and you've wished them ill will of their health, you're a scumbag.
Yeah.
You're nothing more than a scumbag. And I would love anybody that felt that positive that, that was okay. Feel free to slide in my DMs and we'll have a chat. Just because, I will point out why you're an absolute scumbag.
It's just horrible.
The Colts do so much. We're leading the way on mental health. The amount of posts and the amount of awareness they're trying to make aware of mental health.
Especially with Mr. Irsay.
Exactly. And it's a case of you're an arsehole. And you don't deserve to be supporting or following a team that tries to be that unit, especially this week when we've seen John Gruden, obviously stuff coming up from the past of, he comes out and says, I'm not racist. Well, sorry, mate, but the 600 emails that they've just found quite clearly shows you are.
Yeah.
So get out of the league. And it's nice that they're making that stand and, but for me, imagine being a player, you come off the field and see that. And people say people don't play for the team or play for the shirt anymore.
Yeah.
Why should they if they've got that kind of abuse coming at them?
Doesn't Carl Nassib play for the Raiders?
Yes, yeah. And obviously there's the homophobic slurs within it.
Yeah, imagine, and regardless of if you hate cancel culture or not, or whatever you want to fucking call it, to try and defend this despicable act. Imagine for a second, try not to get too political. You going into work knowing your boss is emailed because it looks like Adam Schaefer's not the clean slate we all thought he was now.
Yeah.
Has emailed a journalist with a homophobic slur when you identify as LGBTQ plus, or a racist slur when you are a minority.
What happened with Michael Sam when he came out of the draft, obviously being the first openly gay person.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so what? Like no matter what, if you want to do, as long as it's legal behind the screen, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's just scumbags. And I'm glad we both agree and we like to make that point. If you are of that way when you're going to just slag someone off or wish someone ill because someone they want to hold hands with, or because they've got out and played like bad. He didn't even have a bad game. It makes it worse.
Yeah, and
just scumbags.
Yeah, and like we said, I'm a big proprietor, especially this past year. Working in a college, working with a lot of young people, of mental health for everyone, and just to encourage the viewers here, if you ever feel like that, my DMs are always open.
Same as we've all been through stuff. We've all done things, and if anyone ever does want to chat, as Aaron says, just slide into the DMs, and I think it'd be good. Maybe at the end of the season we do I don't really know how we do, but just do an awareness, of where people can go, and because we're all majority of us are blokes, and sometimes you can't really talk about.
Feelings is a dirty word for bloke. I've come from the Navy, where you get told to man up, or life in a blue one, or shut up, or get on with it.
Yeah.
A lot. And anyway, back to football, because I can get very passionate about it. But back to football, then to round off, Erskine was probably partying when he tweeted that. Yeah, he's probably partying with Johnny Cash's guitar.
He's just going to spend $3 million on other Elton John piano or something.
But would rather that than a Daniel Levi message with nothing about the team plans for success. Yeah, and as brass and blasé as it seems, I feel like it's going to light a fire under a few people's arses.
Yeah. So to end on positives, Darius looks back. He looks fit. He looks sharp, which he hasn't done, which he's been growing. Bobby O, a great game. Carson looking more comfortable. The O-line looking more comfortable. Reed looking comfortable. We've got Quitty Payne now come back. Hopefully he can get that more game experience. So, he was a first round pick, so he needs to start playing as that first round pick. It's going to take him a little time, and it's all coming together. It's not going to be perfect yet, but it's getting better and getting better. And this is the first time all season, other than the first game, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I still think we're the best team in the AFC South, despite the record.
I'm looking forward to playing the Titans again, because we're going to be a different team. We're going to be a stronger unit, and just more game time.
Yeah. Just 1 second before I go, because there we go. Takes the heat off Urban Meyer. But yes, Gruden has to go and probably won't be seen in football. I mean, Urban Meyer, I believe he has a wife and stuff.
I've heard it, but that's none of my business.
No,
I don't agree with it. He hasn't. The only person he's caused harm to is his family.
Yeah.
So I wholeheartedly don't agree with that. But comparing Urban Meyer and John Gruden.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Urban Meyer, like how I look to it. If it's legal and consensual, that's up to you. But John Gruden is just a bigoted prick. And on that positive note, the Colts are 13-4. You heard it here first. Carson Wentz is winning the MVP, and we're getting not 2 but 3 Super Bowls in the next decade. Robbie, thanks for joining me again. And
absolute pleasure, Buzz. No, thank you. It always makes me smile.
See you later.
Take care, bud. See you later, Mike.